Okay, hi. So, I'm Geoffrey. I don't have pictures of where I live. So, Jason, I'm jealous because Belgium is a rainy country. On the other hand, I feel very at home here. It's cold and rainy. It's good. Love it. Okay, so to start with, I have some good news and I have some bad news. The bad news, I was chairing the film, radio and integrated jury last few days, and a lot of times I heard the remark like, wow, it was good, it was not great. I heard remarks like, well, there's a lack of freshness, there's a lack of creativity, there's a lack of bravery. Now don't panic, I also have good news. It was not in all the categories, so you still have a reason to get drunk tomorrow. The other good news is it's not a South African thing. Remarks like there is a lack of braveness, there's a lack of creativity, blah, blah, blah. It's in every country. I hear that in every jury, I hear it in Belgium, I hear it in the States, I heard it at the Cannes Lions, it's everywhere. Seems like the lack of braveness is everywhere, globally, right? So here comes the good news. I really believe that this is going to change. I really believe that we all, clients, creative agencies, we all will be more brave in the years to come. I believe so because I'm an optimist. I believe so because I really think that we should. Because our world has changed. You have probably had a lot of speeches about, hey, our world has changed, it has become digital, right? Well, in the digital world, I can assure you, if you're not brave, you do not exist. If you're not brave, you're not existing. If you build a brand today, you cannot only build the brand on brand equity, you also need to build the brand on social currency. The good news is if you want to build social currency for a brand, you will have to be brave. So you can turn that around and say that social currency actually fuels creativity and braveness. Sounds intelligent, don't worry, I'm not. So I'm going to show examples, etc. I didn't make the title, by the way. My planner did. But we are going to talk about social currency, and I'm going to talk the next half an hour, I think, about what exactly is social currency and about braveness. And don't you worry, I'm not going to talk for half an hour. I will show you some examples from our agency in which we build social currency, and I will show you the examples that you will easily understand that it took some braveness to make them. Yeah, not just from the agency side, but especially from client side. We are brand builders. I mean, creative people always are very easy, like, we need to be brave, but actually the ones who really have to be brave is the client. So they need our support, we need to help them out to be more brave. For us, it's an easy thing. We're sitting on a table with a little paper and we are brave. That's easy. The client has to invest his millions in that. So that's more difficult, right? So we have to help them out. Okay, so first thing that we are going to do is, I cannot talk about bravery without being brave myself. So this is my Twitter name, @Geoffrey Hantson. If you think I'm talking shit, you can share it with the world. I'm brave, I don't care. So what exactly is social currency? Actually, I'm going to explain that with, again, it's a study. I'm not a scientist or I'm not into studies, but there was an interesting piece of McKinsey that I want to share with you. It's that only some years ago, 80% of what when we talked about a brand, 80% was actually really under control of that brand. Let me take Nike as an example. We all know what Nike is about. If you have a body, you can be an athlete, right? You just have to do it. That's Nike. So the interesting part is if Nike is communicating through television, through print, through point of sales, whatever, they are communicating. If they do the job well, they actually control the conversations of people. So 80% was under control. If my friend, if you would tell me like, hey, I'm going to start running, we would be talking about Nike shoes, for example. It was actually reproducing what the brand wants us to tell. That was for 80% under control. The only thing they did not control was actually me talking to somebody, right? If my friend says, I'm going to buy some Nike shoes, and I will tell him like, don't, because actually Essex is much better because it gives you more support. By the way, it's true. So, is there anybody from Nike here? Good, so it's true. Essex is much better, it gives you more support. That's the only thing Nike did not control. Impossible, because it was just me talking to somebody. Now the problem is today, me talking to somebody that has become huge. Because of Facebook, because of all the social networks, because of blogs, because of comparison sites. If today I would be saying that no, Nike Essex is actually much better than Nike, probably it would be viewed by 1,000 people, and then those 1,000 people might be sharing it to another 1,000 people. So it becomes huge. In just a few years, this 80% on the control of the brand has changed to 70% completely out of control, right? So that means something. I'm going to give a metaphor for that, because I received a lot of party invitations in my mailbox lately. So I guess you South Africans like to party. So I have the same explanation in a party metaphor. Here we go. Before, the party was at the brand's place, right? It was at the brand's place and it was fun. But it was especially easy for the brand. But everybody came to the brand and oh, they were talking, dancing, whatever, at the brand's place. Today, the party is at the people's place. Brands have a big problem because they're not invited. They're not on the guest list, right? So the only way to do that is to sneak in. When 70% is out of control as a brand, you have to sneak in the conversations, right? And as you can imagine, people were not, and will never be interested in advertising. But at the party especially, we're not going to talk advertising. That would be a very bad opening line, right? Hey, let me talk about advertising. Oops, the girls go away. So you don't do that. You need content to talk about. And every now and then, that content can come from a brand. Every now and then, but mostly not. So the only thing you can do when your 70% is out of control is make content that people will talk about, right? And hopefully it's a branded content. I will come back to that. So I'm a creative director, so things have to be really simple. So for me, there is a control part in what brands do, and there's an uncontrolled part in what brands do. That means in the control part, it's mainly one-way communication. It's TV, commercials, print, blah, blah, blah. You can give no reaction to it. It's just you absorb or you don't absorb. It was easy at the time because it was only controlled. And I'm afraid that a lot of clients and marketeers and even agencies still build their brands only on the control part. But I have bad news. It's at least 50-50, right? I was just saying that actually it's 70 uncontrolled. So if you build your brand today only on the control part, you might be in trouble because you're not really getting through. Your reach is diminishing. Because yes, you can buy your GRPs and assume that millions of people are watching your ad, but let's be honest, we all know that we're going to the toilets when the ads begin. So there might be nobody watching. On this control part, it's one-way communication, while on the non-control part, as I mentioned before, it's mainly influencing, directing, starting up conversation. That means that on the control part, you build trust. On the uncontrolled part, you build engagement. Now, it's never black and white. I know life is not about black and white. If you have a really clever campaign on the control part, you will also build engagement there. And if you have a really clever campaign on the uncontrolled part, it probably also builds trust. But I want to simplify things. So this is where you build your brand equity, controlled, non-controlled. This is where you build social currency. So I wanted to explain you what social currency especially is, right? Now, if you build a brand today, you need to do both. So don't get me wrong, you cannot build a brand on social currency alone, right? But you can kill a brand on social currency alone. I don't know how it is in South Africa, but in Belgium, some brands were killed just by the conversations on digital, just by some rumors. I have this simple example of a king. We have a king in Belgium, and you know, if before, just 6 years ago, if you would be given a press conference and he farts, nobody would have known. If today a king gives a press conference and he farts, it's on Facebook, it's on YouTube, it's everywhere. This is an example of a king, but as a brand, you can also fail and have your fails and get killed. So you can kill a brand on social currency alone. You cannot build it on social currency alone. So getting back to my point, I'm going to give you an example. So to sneak in the party, you have to provoke a conversation. So when you build a brand today, you have to give it content, of course you have, and then it's two-sided. So on the control part, like most brands, it's about storytelling. On the non-control part, it's about giving a story to tell. You give people something that they can talk about amongst each other, right? And as I told you, if it's well done, that content can come from a brand. I can give you an example now. We started working for Carlsberg in Belgium, where we had no influence at all on what was being done globally. And then they came with the fantastic news that you all know what the best, probably one of the best taglines in the world was for Carlsberg. It was probably the best beer in the world. Fantastic tagline. I've always been very jealous as a copywriter on that one. Now they came in, and the marketing manager of Carlsberg Belgium, so he has nothing to say globally, came with the fantastic news. He said, they changed the tagline in Copenhagen and headquarters, and say they just throw away this probably the best beer in the world tagline, and they shifted it to that calls for Carlsberg, which is much better, which is awful, I believe. That calls for, I just was in the jury of Cannes that year, and there was a completely that calls for Bud Light campaign. The same year that Carlsberg shifted it to that calls for Carlsberg. Anyway, I thought the line was horrible. But they had a good strategy, more or less. Is there anybody from Carlsberg here? Yeah. Good, so I can be honest then. So they had kind of a good strategy. They said like Carlsberg is actually a toast towards people who dare, you know, people who are courageous, people who dare to step out of their comfort zone, people who behave above expectation, blah, blah, blah. Good. But then the problem was they had TV commercials that were absolutely not about this. It was somebody flying to the moon and then, I don't know, and then he grabbed the Carlsberg and I was drinking. And it didn't work because of the mask. That's Danish humor. So it didn't really get the message across. So what we proposed Belgium, not Copenhagen, but Belgium, what we proposed Belgium was to make a piece of content so that people could actually talk about it amongst each other and understand what the new concept of Carlsberg was without us really trying to transmit it to them. And we made a piece of work which I'm not going to show you, but maybe you know. It was a cinema a bit like this, but a cinema full of bikers. Yeah, so there were only 2 chairs left, and then we got some couples who were going to watch Harry Potter. We invited we just told those couples, like, there has been a shift, you know, you don't have to go to room number 6, you have to go to room number 8. And then they got in, there were 2 chairs left, and then they were sitting down, or they didn't. We filmed it all, made a piece of content from it for 2 minutes, I think, and shared it. It was viewed over 20 million times, blah, 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 people talked about it. Copenhagen saw it and said, like, well, this is the kind of advertising we need. Today we work globally for them, and we made this piece of work.
Imagine, it's the middle of the night, you're sleeping, your best friend calls for help. Will you go out and save his ass? Tonight, we put some friends to the test.
Hey.
Ça va, Pat?
Ethisch.
Ik ben wel blij dat je opneemt. Ik sta in de shit eigenlijk, jong.
Zijn je aan het slapen?
Ben je aan het?
Ja, want ik heb hier een dik probleem eigenlijk.
I went somewhere and I played some cards in a poker room and I've lost some money.
En fait, il faudrait que tu ramènes 300 €.
Oh, sorry.
Ja, sorry Freya, ik weet dat het laat is, maar...
Ik kan je niet morgen betalen.
You need to bring me the money because they don't let me get out.
Jij bent zo 2 meter en jij kunt niet door.
Nee, ze zijn hier met 3.
Voilà, Geoffrey, je ne sais vraiment pas t'aider.
Quoi, vraiment pas?
Ze gaan niet op je kop gevallen. Ja, als dat echt moeizaam doet, hè.
Tot ze biedt, hè.
Ja.
Poker game. Third floor. Okay.
Sorry.
Ik kom nu naar beneden en je komt dat geld halen of ik ben vloes. Als er iets voorvalt, man, ik spreek voor mijn leven niet tegen je.
Some?
Did you bring my money? Put it on the table.
Thank you. We did break some friendships that night, by the way. So for those who would question it, it's all real. So what we did is we casted people, young guys, we told them it's for commercial cost, but you will have to work at night. But the most important question is, do you have really, really, really close friends? Because that might be important at night. But we did not tell them why, we did not tell them anything. You can imagine for a client, and because this is how we work. I saw Jason with a lot of post-its and a lot of posters. Now, this is not how we work. How we work is, I'm the poster, I'm the post-it. I just tell the story, that's it. And we never have two IDs. We have one, I'm the creative director, I choose the best one, not the client, right? So we explain what the idea is. At least I explain what the idea is. And then we go like, well, that's it, and then we tell you how much it will cost. Because how can you script this? I mean, I don't know what's going to happen. How can I storyboard this? I have no idea what's going to happen. The only thing we have is a very, very, very rough orchestration. So we know what the location will be, we will know what happens everywhere, but I have no idea about reactions. In this case, I didn't even know if anybody would show up. Right. So I have to admit I was a bit scared because we started it just after midnight, and in the first 10 phone calls nobody came. And the client was panicking. I have to be honest with you, he was panicking. I said, that's okay, that's always like that. I'm not sure whether that was comforting. Okay, by the way, 2 guys cried in that first hour because their friends didn't. Belgians are pussies, really. They started crying. Anyway. But after a while, people showed up, and then, of course, you take the best pieces and make a good film out of it. But the interesting thing is that it takes bravery for a client to do so. I mean, we always hug our clients afterwards because, man, I do know how brave you have to be to do that, and you don't. But the good thing is by making such pieces, people talk about the strategy, people talk about Carlsberg without us, like a nail putting it in their head. No, they just talk about it. People talk about, well, what my friends have done. Would you have done that for me? I would never do that for you, fucker. Or that, blah. Yeah. So people talk about it. You have the YouTubes. It's full of comments, and so it's another way of transmitting. It's the uncontrolled part. Of course, they still have to get the control part on the control now, right? And being sure that we deliver the same message. But we are working on a global film right now. Actually, they're not very happy in the agency that I'm here, so. Because we're working on the control part at this very moment. Anyway, so it takes bravery to provoke conversation. I'm going to give you a second example of a case that took quite some bravery. It was from a client from the States. In Belgium, we are kind of cool, but in the States, you know, they always have 2 buses full of lawyers in case something goes wrong. But hey, they gave us a call and said, like, can you produce a piece of work for us that people would be talking about? And we said yes, and then I think after 2 or 3 weeks, we gave them a first call. Very difficult, transmitting an ID through conf call. That's interesting. And I told them there will be gunshots, and there will be blood. And it was very silent at the other side of the conf call. Never ask your client, by the way, it's a tip, you know, never ask your client if they like the ID. I never do that. I always ask, how do you feel? So I asked, there will be gunshots and there will be people and they will not know what's happening and they might run away, but we will have some psychologists on set. And it was very quiet. So I said, how do you feel? And he said, I feel there's a whole lot of discomfort here. Which I said, it's good. That's good, because you can never be safe about a fantastic idea. You can never feel great about it. You have to feel uncomfortable. It's probably good, so it must be a great idea. I think you should do it. And we did. There is a big reason why we made that production in Belgium, because if you would do this in the States, they would shoot back, right? So that would be real blood. Yeah. Belgians just run away. I told you, we are pussies. Anyway, I'd like to come back to what. Did you see the speech of Goetz? Goetz? That's a German guy with humor. Strange, very strange. I was going to say something. Yeah, coming back to what Goetz said. Yes, that one also. It's so relatable what he says. This one got killed 100 times before getting there. But we kept on selling it. Well, without selling it, because the moment you sell, you're dead. So you just have to explain why it's obviously good. And then the guys from the States, at a certain point, they understood. They completely understood. And then they wanted to see, again, the storyboard. Which is like, yeah. I will send you a drawing. So we sent him a drawing of the arrow. That was it. Anyway. And it's good here, because if I'm not mistaken, he explained that he used this film to get his invisible car sold. I will send him an invoice, man. He told us Mercedes have a lot of money, so that's good. What was I going to say about this? Yeah, obviously it takes a lot of bravery again to make this. This is just on production level. I'm getting to the next one now. This is just on production level. The Carlsberg, TNT, you never know what's going to happen. We did it for real, so we don't know whether people are going to push the button. Yeah, so how we did it is somebody pushed the button, a lot of shit happened, and then afterwards it was done. So while it was happening, of course, there's a lot of people gathering on that square. So what we always did is like, no, we did this only once, guys, this is it, bye-bye, up, oh, go home, go back to your family, it's all over, we did it once, and then we have to wait for half an hour, sometimes 45 minutes until the square is, and then we push the button again and put it so that we get fresh reactions, because otherwise you lose your fresh reactions, right? You have like, hey, you have to push the button, a lot of shit will happen. So We wanted to keep it fresh. But it's, again, it's real people. People start talking about it. I think this one, as you might know, won a lot of awards. I don't know, it was over 80 awards. I think it got 8 goals in Cannes, crazy, and 5 Grand Prix when you look at it. Nearly 50 million views, etc., etc., etc. It was a big success, good proof of the uncontrolled part. Maybe also interesting, just to show you that sometimes it works the other way around. Before, people did their classical campaigns and then came to us, or we, at the second part, we had to do the conversation part. Now it's, with TNT, it's the other way around. We did the conversation part, and then last year they came to us and said, like, this complete film that takes 2 minutes about drama, can you make 1 print of it? So, that was hard work. But we did it like this. So, while in film, of course, you tell the complete story. In print, you just leave it to the theater of the mind. You know what's going to happen over there, and we had 4 executions. I'm not going to show all of them. Good, but the main thing I was going to talk about today, like TNT in Carlsberg, is the social video. Online film, we call that social video because I don't believe in online film. I think online films are meant to be social. I always, when I have to jury the online film category, I always think that it's important to keep in mind that it's about shareability. It doesn't make any sense just to put a film online and then wait. And if nothing happens, it's not a good online film. It needs to be shareable and viewed. Otherwise, what's the purpose of putting a film online? I also do believe that online films are not to be meant a longer version from your film on television, because then you're actually just putting your broadcast film online, because it's a bit cheaper, right? So don't consider digital and online as a cheaper medium. If you put it there, you have to do it for a good reason. It has to be shareable. It takes bravery to do the production, but it also takes bravery to put it online, because viral life is absolutely, completely unpredictable. Every time we get a phone call and say, like, Geoffrey, can you make us a viral? I'll always say, no, because I cannot make virals. Viral is a result. It's not something you can make, it's just a result. So I cannot do that. It's completely unpredictable. I have to admit that you cannot force people into tweets, you cannot force people into shares, you cannot force people to view. The only difference for a client, and then I'm coming back to the bravery part and to the good news for us creatives, the difference is that before you put a film on TV and you're competing on your commercial breakdown, you're competing with, what, 10 other commercials. That's it. When you put your film online, you're competing against 1 billion things that are more interesting than advertising. But it's the competition, so the competition is tough. So if you're not brave and not creative and don't have fantastic ideas online, you will be killed, you will not be viewed. So you need to be viewed. The biggest advantage is that if somebody watches, you know. Every view is a real view, every share is a real share. On television, you just buy GRP and assume that people watch, but you never know. But you can assume that they watch. Here, you know. So if you make a piece that sucks, I can assure you, you will know, right? And I cannot come back to clients and say, it was a success, man. I assume that millions have seen it. Yeah, I know the view counter says 10,000, but that's not possible. People, you just know. That's simple. And I know you can buy views. Why would you do that? Why would you buy views? Because on television, you buy GRPs and you can assume that somebody's watching. If you buy views, it's a robot. Nobody's watching. So who are you fooling? Yeah, it's stupid. I tend to compare views with sex. Like only the losers pay for it. So it's kind of unpredictable whether it will be a success. When before somebody asked me, will it be a success? I tend to say that viral is not a strategy, it's more like a lottery. You don't know. Now, in the last 2 years, we had quite some successes on viral films, on social video. So I can tell you one thing, there is no key to success. What we do know so far is that there are some ingredients that might increase the chance of success. So I want to share those ingredients with you. Now, don't get me wrong. I will give you 5 ingredients. The 5 ingredients, to be very clear, are not a key to success. It's more like if you don't use those 5, you have a key to failure. Yeah, you have So don't get me, it's very important because I don't want you to use the 5 ingredients and then call me on and say, hey, it didn't work, right? Possibly, but if you don't use them, you might have bigger chance of failure. So I'm going to share those funds with you. First of all, if you say provoke a conversation, the most important word in provoke conversation is provoke. And I don't mean, don't get me wrong, I know that provocatives, if I take all my clothes off, that would be provocative. And you might be talking about my speech of the guy who was naked and not beautiful, but you would be talking about it for the wrong reason, right? So don't get the provocative thing like caca, pee, sex and religion and naked people, because you see a lot of that online. That's not what I mean. I mean provocative on the inside, right? You can be provocative on an inside. If you have a very good insight, you can be provocative there. I'm going to show you an example what happened in Belgium, because provoking conversation is good, provoking debate is even better for conversations. I'm going to give you a very simple example. In Belgium, I don't know how it is in South Africa, but in Belgium we have at this very moment a huge problem of phishing, it's called. Phishing? It's like guys who call you, and while they call you, they completely yeah? They completely take your money from your online bank account. So they hack you while they call you. It's a huge problem. And then we have this organization of all Belgian banks. I know how creatives feel when they need to work for a bank. That's not the easiest client, never is. Now, imagine how it is to work for the association of all the Belgian banks. It's a very interesting room with 20 people, and they all look like the CEO that James just showed us, Jonas just showed us. And then you have to say, like, well, guys, they have a problem because they did a campaign in print, poster, and they did a press conference. No journalist was there. Nobody showed up. And nobody was talking about it. And it was a huge problem, because how can you not talk about it? Because it's a huge problem. People get robbed every day. Every day people get hacked and their online account is empty after 5 minutes. So it's a huge problem. So they came to us and asked, can we do something else? Just to make people aware that there is a huge problem in Belgium. And then we did this.
Dag Fien. Dus gewoon. Ik zie een school tegen Antwerpen.
Ja.
Insecten.
Alsjeblieft.
Ik voel 2 insecten op je rug. Kan dat?
Ja, vlinders.
Slovenie?
Zo hè.
Een moto. Oranje.
Pats erop.
Zenit.
Oui, bien.
Je hebt een vriendin. Julie de...
Ja.
Een boeiend liefdesleven. 3, 4 zelfs.
De 4e, daar zwijg ik meestal over, dus dat weten niet veel mensen.
Hoe is mijn spierscheur? Maison rouge, balkon, blanc. Ja. Ik zie geld, ik zie transacties. Maar kent je rekeningnummer van buiten? Ik denk dat ik het wel weet. Die staat wel negatief op je bankrekening.
Ja?
9, 7. Last month, you spent €200 on alcohol. Vorige maand €300 aan kleding gespendeerd. 8.
Ja.
5. Voor een huis dat van eigenaar gaat veranderen. €795.000.
Ja, eigenlijk.
41.
Ja.
Is dat juist?
Ja, dat is juist. Oh my god. Oh man. Ah, dat is, ik weet niet hoe eng.
So, thank you. So suddenly it was it was on all news channels. It was everywhere. It was on the cover of the magazines, of the newspapers, everywhere. Everybody talked about it suddenly. So we hacked people in real. We had to. By the way, are there Russians here? Okay. Strange to think, the hackers are Russians. We really had to go to Moscow to get the best hackers. So the guys you see over there, of course, were not the real hackers. The real hackers were in a little bus, just like 10 meters further away. But we did it for real. So we just asked random people in the streets. The only thing that we did to get their names was very important. We said, like, what's your name? And then, for example, you said, I'm Geoffrey Hantson. Yeah, I know, Geoffrey Hantson. Good. Oh, shit, you cannot go yet. You have to wait 5 minutes. Is there somebody else right now? So sit down, I will call you. And in those 5 minutes, we hacked them completely. Yeah. Very, very scary. But again, get people to talk about it instead of get people to debate about it. So, provoke. Surprise me, entertain me. It's just a little trick, you know, like where we have a very close collaboration with Google. And Google is also YouTube. So we know from them when we work together that every 5 to 6 seconds, wow, that was a difficult one. Every 5 to 6 seconds, something needs to happen on an online film if you want people to continue watching. Because every 5 to 6 seconds, they go like, oh, there's something more interesting over there. Yeah? So it's just a little trick that kept, if you want people's attention, let's make it surprising and entertaining all the time, every 5 to 6 seconds. Make it relevant. I know the internet is full of crazy stuff, really. And the first question people ask you when you want to make something for the internet, they say, it needs to be crazy. Yeah. Why? It doesn't need to be crazy, it needs to be relevant. We are building brands. I see so many crazy stuff, and then in the end you ask yourself, like, it was cool, I had a good laugh. Which brand was it for? I don't know. I don't care. So it's not, we brand builders, it needs to be relevant. Whether it's television or online, it's the same. It needs to be relevant. What is interesting also is when it's relevant for the brand and it builds that brand, it gets more conversation somehow. Very strange, but it's true. Another one that is important that you saw, of course, is make it credible. It is online really important. Dumb ways to die proves the contrary, by the way, but that's okay. Online, it is very important that people can relate. They will talk if they can relate. So, and people are easily related to other people. Yeah? That's why we use a lot of real people. We don't use pranks all of the time, but we use real people and real emotions because it's easier to relate. And when they relate easy, they can share easy. It's just an ingredient. Does it always work? No, no, not at all. But it helps. It helps to be relatable. I'm going to show you another example that we did. Goetz was talking about the red light district in Hamburg, but actually the most popular red light district is in Amsterdam. The strange thing over there is that you don't just go to the red light district in Amsterdam because you want to see or you want to pay for something, but you also go there as like a tourist. A lot of tourists just go and see the red light district in Amsterdam, which is kind of strange because not all girls behind the windows are there because they want to, right? So we wanted to stop the traffic, asked us to transmit that message to people. And we did it, but we didn't make a film, we did it for real. Now I have to admit you, what you're going to see is real. Now, we were lucky because we only could do this 5 times. After 2 times, there was a gigantic, by the way, pimp coming to us with a gun. And he said, I'm going to shoot you all if you do this again. Right? And we said, like, we are going to do this again anyway. Which was not very Belgian to do so. We did it 3 more times, and then we really had to run. Really. Yeah, sorry. I wish we could have done that for weeks, but hey, I don't want a bullet in my head. So, but then again, the advantage of the digital is that you can film it, make a film, and then put it online, right? And then it goes. This one got 2 or 3 million views 1 year ago, and then the interesting part about social currency is that it never stops. You know, it's very interesting graphically like this, 3 million views in a week, and then it goes down, and they have some views. It continued to have like 10,000 views a day, which was interesting. And then why, I have no idea, but 2 weeks ago, suddenly, it again gained 3 million views extra. I don't know why that is, but that's the good thing about social currency. You can keep building your social currency on a long term. Right? A last one of the ingredients to have more chance of a non-failure is the most subjective one. And I know it's very difficult to explain. Is make it wow. Right? I don't have that feeling too much when I see something like, whoa, wow. When I was in the film industry, I had a film jury 2 days ago. I had it once. Wow, oof, what the heck was that? I was blown out of my chair once. Right? That feeling is really important. I know it's very subjective. We probably have a whoa on different things, but it is important. It's not always about being blown out of a chair. It can be very magical. It can be very new. It can be very whatever, but it needs a whoa. Otherwise, it will not work. It needs a whoa because on the inside, it was so strong. Or it touches you or whatever. It can be very emotional, but it needs a whoa. The last thing I'm going to show you is a case we did for Smirnoff, the vodka. Well, it's not very strange, but vodka is always very linked to creativity, although they cannot explicitly say so, as you know, for legal reasons. We cannot say so. But anyway, the Smirnoff is very linked to creativity. I thought the biggest problem they have is that their link to creativity is obviously always to the creative people, which is too easy. Of course, creative people can be creative. So they're all about bringing it out. You know, you have a white canvas, life is a canvas, and you can go and create things. It's about creativity. I thought that was too easy. To make people talk, yeah, you have a canvas, you're creative, so you're not only talking to the creatives, but you're talking to the assertive creatives who dare to stand up and do something on a white canvas. I thought there are huge amounts of group of people who are actually not very creative in their everyday life, in what they do. But they must be creative, because we were all children once, and when we were children, we were very creative, so we lost it somewhere. Probably it has to do something with education, where they teach you to stop to be creative. Very strange, by the way. So what we had needed to do for Smirnoff, we create content for them. We create platforms and means so that people who you think might be less creative, who have a reason not to be creative anymore, can be creative again. So we helped them out with all kind of means. So we started this off, which was a brave thing to do for a vodka brand. We started off with 3 completely physically disabled people. They are physically disabled. They were musicians once, but they're not able to play music anymore because of their physical disability. So we worked for 6 months on platforms and software and all kind of things with professor out of Brazil and Plymouth University in Great Britain, and developed a platform and software that turned actually their brain waves into sound waves and the sound waves into music. And then we let them make a track so they could be musicians again, right? This is the case. Be aware that this is just a case of 2 minutes, I think, so it's difficult to explain everything. But it was an online documentary, so the piece that could be shared was an online documentary of 11 minutes. And very important, I missed one ingredient here that says never do something above 2 minutes, otherwise it's difficult to be shareable. The funny part is I told the client that, no, your Smirnoff never about 2 minutes, and then we come with an idea and I said, it will be an online documentary and it will take 11 minutes. And they say, yeah, but you said 2 minutes. Yeah, I know, but we have to break the rules, right? So that's why I didn't put it here as a 6th one, because that would be ridiculous. So, but the 11-minute documentary has been viewed over 5 million times. Now, you count the 5 million people watching 11 minutes, the whole documentary. So that's huge. Here's the case.
Smirnoff believes that there's a creator in all of us. All you need are the means to get it out there, for everyone to see. To demonstrate this, Smirnoff created Mind Tunes. Mind Tunes is a project set up to realize the dream of 3 physically disabled music fans in an attempt to unlock their creativity. Julien Costet, one of the world's leading brainwave technology experts, was introduced to world-famous electronic music producer DJ Fresh. Their goal was simple: create a new platform that enables people to make music with only one instrument: the mind.
We try to transform emotion into brainwaves and brainwaves into music.
You're controlling the beats, and when you smile, then you choose another clip.
The system allowed each musician to trigger and transform his instrument by focusing on different emotions. With Mark controlling the beats.
Mark makes some noise like...
Joe at the synths.
Really cool.
And Andy working the FX. Physical barriers disappeared, and after 8 days of hard work, they achieved the unthinkable.
I looked round and I saw the smile on Mark's face, which is just the most endearing, amazing smile. For a man who's paralysed, you could feel so much going on through your body.
Mind Tunes is a music track, a video clip, and a documentary. Mind Tunes was an instant hit, with all of its proceeds being donated to the Queen Elizabeth's Foundation for Disabled People.
We're very lucky at QEF that DJ Fresh has donated the proceeds, which is going to enable us to build a state-of-the-art assistive technology group home.
Mind Tunes instantly became one of the most talked about subjects on music forums, spreading a great cause, raising awareness, and inspiring people around the world.
I hope your song will raise a lot of money.
I'm massively proud.
We did it.
I'm gonna miss it.
That was, if you would excuse the language, but f***ing amazing.
When's the album, man?
I informed myself we rose over 1 million rands so far from downloads. So it was globally a top 20 iTunes track, the thing. So if you have some spare time today, download it, right? For the good reasons. It was, by the way, the very first time that I did an offline with the client, and the client started to cry. For the good reason, by the way. So they really cried when they saw the documentary. So it completely worked. Now, point is that I wanted to make in the beginning, it's all about bravery, right? Because also with the Mind Tunes project, don't get me wrong, there was no storyboard, there was no script, there was no software. We told them how much it would cost actually to develop it, and they told you, okay, who's going to do it? I don't know. Who's going to make the software? I don't know. Do you know physically disabled people? No. We will just bring all those people together. How many time do you need? I don't know. I don't know how much time do I have. Right? So it's a lot of no's, a lot of things you don't know. It takes a lot of bravery from the client. So I think as a creative, it's too easy to say that we should be brave. Of course we should be brave, but for us it's easy to be brave. It's for the client that it's difficult. So they need our support. You need to support your client in being brave. Because without us it will not work, right? They need our support. The good thing is that our world has changed, so you also need to build a brand on the content side, because otherwise you don't reach enough people anymore. And the good news for us then is if you're not creative and brave over there, it will not work. So there's a room for bravery and creativity, which was my point at the beginning. Things will get better soon, right? Your clients have to be more brave, and you need to be more creative, because otherwise people will not talk about it. It's a very simple thing. Now, on the other hand, I'm not a scientist. right? We're not into science. I hear too many people talking about advertising like it's a science. It's not. It's not. We can only make some educated guesses, right? So stay agile. Thank you.